Hi, my name is Dylan Mutersbaugh, and this is I.O. And this is, I believe, Ouroboros Milestone 2.4. This week is a bit of a short one because I had a lot going on. But luckily, I beforehand made this kind of a break week for myself. Somehow I predicted that life was going to take a bit of a toll this week. So, um, this week was mainly about integrating a lot of the art assets that I had already previously made, like the new shotgun model. This was the old model that I had made a few years ago, like an updated version of the old model, and this was my updated version of the model, which is going to be the final one that I actually use in the game. And then, other than that, I worked on these last week. I haven't updated them since. I have a lot of work to do with them going forward before I incorporate all of these. And then here are some of the buildings I worked on. Right now I'm just working on the main outline of the buildings before I actually work on any of the details. But these are going to be, I think this is all but 2 or 3 of them. So once I have an established style, a lot of it is just trying to figure out matching that fruitier arrow versus actually making it look like it would be on a motherboard, which turns out artistically is a huge pain. Here's me bouncing a whole bunch of ideas about like the globe that I'm going to have in the background. You see this in a lot of fruitier arrow styles where there's like a globe dumping out water or any sort of globe in general. I just really like the idea of it. And at first this was my original one, but it got way too noisy for what I wanted, and like for the specific shader that I had. Really, it was outlining every single pixel on there, every single voxel on this, and it got really noisy from far away. So then I made this one, but I ended up going back to this one because I like the way it matched the style better. I just made it bigger, and I also did some changes with the shader to match the style that I'm going for. Other than that, I have this is the concept for the haven't decided the name whether it's going to be Bleeder or the Pointer, but that's the enemy that I made a couple weeks ago that I'm going to integrate in this level. And once that's all put in, then I have a style to actually go forth with that I can match for everything else that I work on, making this next week a lot faster. So with that, I'll actually get into what I actually have here. You can see the outline's a little bit more bluish, purplish now. This just is a lot less harsh in the eyes, and a lot less harsh for things like that, where normally from so far away, it still keeps every outline, which you can see gets a little bit noisy, but luckily because I made it so absolutely ginormous, it's not a huge issue. The only issue I'm seeing right now is the clouds, but I think that's because I've had Unreal open for the last 60-something hours. Now, it is still a bit vibrant. I think I'm still going to bump that down a little bit while I work on the grass shader, but I've also not completely made the grass texture that I'm going to have in-game. For now, it's just a kind of an instance wind actor that I have right now. If you look really close, you can see it very slowly going across this noise texture. But with that, I've added foliage to the scene. This is just some very simple voxelated grass. This is what it looks like without the shader. Obviously extremely ugly, but this looks a lot in line with what I had when I first made Ouroboros years ago. I've kind of come back to it because I really liked the style that it looks like. Kind of going for that almost Minecraft Legends-esque look when viewing it from the side. If I go ahead and bump this down just a little bit, I match it a little better. Yeah, I think it should be fine for now. Other than that, just incorporating a lot of the stuff that I already have. Like you see, I have this globe right here, dumping out the water, creating the kind of fractured ocean that I have. And then I have a couple of the buildings. You can see like these audio jack buildings. The ones that are still glass have yet to be actually fully replaced. And some of the buildings that I already made, like the disc over here, needs to just be put back in. When I updated my models, for some reason it deleted the ones that were already in, so I just have to redo that real quick. Yeah, so I have a couple of 6-pin connector buildings. I'm going to delete that. I've got one replaced right here. Got audio jack buildings. Need to get my sphere back for this so I can actually make this arena here. Got this building, which is going to be a combination of like USB, maybe HDMI ports. Then I have this one. Not really anything motherboard related, just going to be a giant glass prism, just for something to kind of orient you in a direction. I know you already have this globe, but the more the merrier. And then this building, which is going to be a little bit more based off of just kind of pin connectors in general, standard hubs that you would see on a motherboard. Nothing in particular, just kind of feeling computer aesthetic. But with a little area to be underneath it, whatever. This area is going to be like a little bit of a beach, and then this one is going to take a lot of work. It's going to be another one of those little arena-based areas. Other than that, I have this little flower that I added that is ASCII art. It's a curly brace and then an @ symbol to make it look like a flower. Of course, it's colored accordingly. You can see a little bit more of the landscape over here. Other than all of that, I'm replacing all of the stand-ins for the cars. You can see I replaced all the trees with actually what they're going to be in the correct sizing. Oh, that hurt my eyes. Like that. But I actually added the cars, quote-unquote, in. That are just kind of little fish tanks. They're really reflective. Here's what they look like on the inside. Little close-ups of all the bubbles in the fish. But on the outside, they're super reflective. I didn't like their original design, which was a lot more transparent, because it didn't really feel like the shader was actually working with it. In this case, it actually complements it, and everything on the inside has an outline, but the glass itself doesn't have an outline. Might change going forward, but really I like sticking with what I had here. But other than that, I did make a few changes to how IO plays. A lot of him is still up for change, but I changed it to where every weapon now has 2 uses. I haven't decided on the shotgun or fully decided on what the hammer is going to be, but the op, of course, left click is going to be shoot, and then right click is zoom in. And of course, you can zoom in while shooting, etc., etc. I think for now, I'm also going to get rid of the way that ammo is handled. But for this, it's now, if you click, it says swing 1, 2, 3. When you hold left click on the primary, it's going to do a swing, swing, and a slam. That way the player actually has a choice with launching themselves. So if you right click, that's what actually does the original thing, which I think I'm going to alter a little bit to launch forward. Very similar to, honestly, what Fortnite had for their hammer. I realized that I'd just been kind of making the Fortnite hammer when I was thinking of that. But really, it's a good idea for going forward. Otherwise, I also have the grapple a little bit altered to be a little bit more in line with the way the movement works. So, like, if you're already moving... Oh, of course I screwed it up. I think I've just been missing it. There we go. It's a lot more additive than it used to be, so it's a lot more fun when you're already moving, which is really good for later down the line. Games like this, kind of like Risk of Rain, you start off pretty slow, pretty weak, and the beginning of the game is a bit of like a grinding start, which makes it all the more satisfying when you get to that point where you can actually continue. Other than that, I fully added the shotgun in. Spread is obviously TBD, to be decided. I realized that I forgot to fully hook this up, but for now you can see what the shotgun looks like. And then if I go ahead and just... Hold on. Go ahead and stop full screen. And then just kind of simulate play. See everything kind of falling from the sky here. Including IO. Oh, wait, I forgot to... I gotta swap to a shotgun before I actually eject. There we go. And that's what a shotgun looks like. A lot bigger than it looks, but I think I did pretty good. I think I did pretty well matching it to the actual style of what we have so far. But other than that, I believe that's this week's milestone. The design for the level is almost entirely done. Just actually have to add the enemy spawning in the chests, and then we'll have ourselves a fully fledged level. Thank you so much.